Since this is another multiverse superhero movie, we know that anything is possible in the different universes. So in this universe, do we finally have a good Flash movie, or is that just in another universe? Come here to find out. Welcome to Cine Here, where you come for all of your media needs. My name is Ray, and today I am reviewing The Flash, directed by Andy Muschietti, starring Ezra Miller, Sasha Calle, and the one and only Michael Keaton. This film is about Barry Allen's Flash going back in time to save his mother that was murdered and dealing with the aftermath of the decision of going back and saving her means for the future and the past of his current reality. It would be disingenuous if we did not bring up the fact that Ezra Miller was going through a lot before the releasing of this film. Some people thought this film would never come to light based on the allegations that were said upon him. Also, a lot of reshoots that were done by DC and James Gunn to try to make this film more relevant to what the future of DC movies and TV shows would be. So we had a lot of stuff going against this film before it ever even hit the big screen. Ezra Miller's performance of the Flash, I thought, was done very well. I think that he tackled this character in a very unique way. I would have loved to see more of a down-to-earth, comical version of the Flash and not kind of the awkward comical version of the Flash that we got in this film. But I do think that Ezra Miller took what he was asked to do and did well in this film. Another huge thing that people wanted to see in this film was Michael Keaton's Batman coming back to life. That is fan service at its highest form. And yes, I love seeing Michael Keaton back as Batman, and a lot of other surprises that were in store in this film as well. Michael Keaton by far did the best out of everybody because, again, we got exactly what we wanted. We got to see him don the cape and cowl maybe just one more time, and it was a pleasure to see on the big screen. And the same could be said about Ben Affleck's Batman as well, because we got a little bit more of him. I love him in these small bits that we had in the previous Justice League movie and all of that. But I really did also enjoyed him in this. Yes, it was a small role, but it was good to see him as well don the cape and the cowl. My biggest criticism about this film is we did not have a real antagonist. And I know what you're thinking. How the hell can you have a superhero film without a villain? How do you have that? I don't know, but they did. They did not really have a traditional villain. Yes, General Zod was the big bad in this film, but not really. Most of the film did not involve any kind of antagonist. It was just more about the Flash trying to get to a point in the film and less about somebody interrupting him throughout the film. We did not get this kind of constant struggle of a hero and a villain, and that was probably the most disappointing thing about this film, because Flash has an amazing role gallery, and I thought we were going to get a particular villain in this film, and we did not get that particular villain that would have made sense in what they did in the comic book that this film is based on. So I was very disappointed in that fact, and I think that probably held this movie from being what could have been a great DC superhero film. But the best thing about this film was seeing the display of the Flash. A lot of people that really don't know a lot about comic books, or may have just seen the TV show, don't really understand the scope and depth of what the Flash is able to do. And I think that was probably done the best in this film. We got to see not only his powers, but how it looks when he is actually in the Speed Force, and how everything slows down for him, the way in which it slows down, and also some of the kind of weaknesses that he had with having such a fast speeds and how he can go through walls. And Flash has such a multitude of abilities in this film really got to show off what he's capable of. So hopefully people that don't really know much about the Flash can kind of get excited for what he's capable of and seeing what he's capable of in other DC films and maybe TV shows that's coming in the future. If you enjoyed this review so far, make sure that you give it a like, and let's get back to the review. Another glaring criticism that I have with this film is the CGI. It is some of the worst CGI that I have seen on the big screen in a while. And it's so crazy to think that a film with the budget that this had, as many reshoots as this had, as far as this movie was pushed back, they did not earn up the CGI. When he was in the Speed Force and he was seeing different things, you'll see it when you watch the film, it looked so bad. It looked bad. They did have good CGI as well. You know, all of the fighting scenes, in my opinion, they look good. Most of the fighting scenes, I said all, most of the fighting scenes or action scenes in this film look good. But there are other parts that were like, oh man, this is bad. It's cringy. I think the greatest praise that you can have for a film is how fun a film could be. And this film was fun. It never took itself too seriously. And in the moments where it needed to be serious, it did that. This was a great balance of the comedic scenes and the comedic Flash that they was trying to portray, while at the same time taking serious some of the serious scenes, like when his mother died and how he dealt with that and going to see her, so on and so forth. Those scenes were done with such masterclass. And again, Ezra Miller has to be praised because I think that he did a really good job of playing the Flash and doing the things they asked him to do in this particular film. Last but not least, I want to talk about the direction of the DC cinematic universe. What are we going to see next? With James Gunn taking over, this film did not establish what is next, and that is disappointing. Now, I'm not going to take too much off of this film because of what wasn't done, but I can say that I was very disappointed not to have something more established, especially after the reshoots going into the next phase of DC. But with all that being said, I would have to give The Flash a 7.5 out of 10. Yes, the CGI was not always good. Yes, we did not have a typical antagonist, but it was a fun film with Michael Keaton coming back playing Batman. That has to count for something. If you enjoyed this review, make sure that you give it a like. If you want to see more of my content, make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can see more of my content in the future. And do not let the conversation in here. We have to get in those comments and talk about some of our favorite Batmans, because we got a few of them in this film, at least 2. And let's talk about if you want to see this movie, if you're going to see this movie, and what you thought about it if you did. And don't forget, you seen it here.